Yo, what up, guys? This is Jalen.
And this is William.
And we are the
Cloth Talk Podcast.
What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Cloth Talk Pod, the Cloth Talk Podcast. This is episode 2. Today, we're going to be getting into a lot of firsts.
A lot of firsts.
Like everything from
started from high school
up to college,
go
now.
Go through the career progression. So yeah, I guess we could start there. Like, what kind of process did you go through to like pick a major? Like, when you were in high school, like you were going through the 4 years, and then junior, senior year started to come up. Got to take SATs and stuff like that. Like, how did that go?
Being completely honest. For me, so I'm a criminal justice major. I'm still in school.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I picked criminal justice because I love watching like crime shows. First 48, one of my favorite shows. Law and Order, Criminal Minds. I was like, I could see myself doing that kind of stuff. Whole time, that stuff is fiction. So it's not really like that. It's not really like that in the real world. But that's my honest answer. That's how I chose criminal justice. I really never thought about anything else. But I was like, I want to be a homicide detective. And I think that's why I chose criminal justice. But it was a lot of what we call it. We call it the CSI effect.
Yeah,
that was me. I was like, I'm about to go solve crimes in 24 hours.
I feel like that's not bad though. Like me, the way I got into it, I majored in mechanical engineering in school, but like in high school, I really like math and science. I like physics a lot, and that was a lot of that was due to my high school teacher. He made it really fun to learn about that stuff, but I'm like thinking about different things. I'm like, I'm looking at the different majors, like searching on Google, and I'm like, what could I be interested in? Because I had no idea. All I knew was I like math and science. That's it. I didn't know what that translated to in terms of a job. And then, whatchamacallit, I met with my guidance counselor.
Nope. I would sidebar, did not do any of that.
It was mandatory for us, so I was kind of...
Public schools do better.
Luckily for us, it was mandatory, because otherwise I wouldn't without his help, I wouldn't have been able to make that decision. But yeah, like, he was like, I told him I was thinking about international business, because I like learning languages and learning about other cultures and doing that kind of stuff. I was taking like business law too, so I thought that would tie into business a little bit. I was looking at like graphic design, photography, I think. And I knew I liked math and science, but I never translated those into a major either. And I was talking to him, he was like, have you ever thought about doing engineering? And I'm like, engineering? Like, you mean like building bridges and buildings? I was so ignorant back then, but I started looking into it. I'm like, oh shit, like there's like mechanical, chemical, civil engineering, like there's a bunch of different things that need to be built.
Whole lot of options. It's a better man than me, because I ain't do no research. I think the only time I met with my guidance counselor was to request early release my senior year of high school. That was the only time I was like, I'm taking 3 classes and I'm out of here.
But it sounds like you knew like what you wanted to get into though, based on your interests. Like me, I knew I liked physics a lot, but I didn't say like, okay, let me use this information to like go pick a major. I was just like, kind of just like throwing darts at a board. I feel like you had like more direction with yours, at least. Like
somewhat. I really don't know what, if I didn't pick criminal justice, I don't know what I would be doing right now, to be honest.
I think about that too. Like, I don't know. Engineering was a lot going through school, but I don't think I would have it any other way. Like, the majority of the classes I didn't enjoy, but there were some that like really did it for me. But I don't know. Looking back, since I like physics so much, I probably should have been a physics major. But then when I was looking at majors to pick, I was like, I need to make money. So
very important. Very important.
Matter of fact, when at that time I was doing the beats thing and like making beats in high school and starting to get into music a lot more, and I was getting frustrated looking at the majors and like choosing a career. I'm like, I don't know, like I've always felt like I've never had like a job calling. Like, I've never, some people like when they're 3, they're like, oh, I know I want to be like a firefighter or like an astronaut or something. I'm like, I've never been that way ever. Like,
and they stick with it. They stick with it and accomplish that.
I guess part of it is me, not liking to make decisions, but like, I don't know. I've just never been like so strongly drawn to a job. So, fast forward to high school, that kind of like carried over. But thinking back, I probably should have did something with music looking back now. 'Cause I remember like there was like a distinct moment in my head that I still remember. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was home, but like I was looking at majors. I was like, if I didn't have to make money, I'd probably do something with music. And it's crazy because like 6 years later, that's stuck with me, and that's why like I'm doing some of the things I'm doing now. But like, yeah, it's just tough because you don't know what you don't know. I feel like that's another thing too. I feel like middle school and high school don't prepare you for college, one.
Right.
And then the second thing is they don't prepare you for, figuring out what you want to do in life. Like in high school, you're just taking English, math, science, physics, chemistry, all this random stuff, all the general stuff. And then after those 4 years, you're supposed to choose what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, let's be honest. I still don't really know.
Yeah, no.
I still don't really know what I want to do in life. So it's like, I don't know. You learn as you go. But definitely, looking back, I really had no help. Mm. I mean, my parents were there, but they kind of like do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what to pick.
Yeah, it's a good and a bad thing.
Yeah, I kind of wish that, like you could go in undecided. You could go into school undecided, knock general ed classes out the way, and then pick a major. Mm-hmm. I think I wish I would have rather done that. Mm-hmm. Just to knock those general classes out the way. And I think a couple years in school, I might have had an idea of like some experience and something, and I could have been like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I think the one con to like going in undecided, the only one I've seen like when I went to Maryland was that when you're undecided and then you choose whatever major you want to get into, you have to like apply to that school. Mm-hmm. So like I knew a couple friends that, they were undecided, but they thought they wanted to do engineering. So they're taking the same engineering classes as me, and the prereqs like calc and all that stuff. And so they're taking these like super hard, like weed out classes, but they have to meet a certain like GPA requirement and then apply to the school after like a year or two. So right. I think that's the only con probably. Like, I feel like having that freedom too to like choose after like sophomore, junior year, like focus on something is probably good. I don't know. I feel like I was like 70% sure with mechanical engineering, and I was like, screw it, like I'm gonna just try see what this is like.
I think that's like.
And then I got hit with a hammer freshman year, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Right. That's just life. Sometimes you just gotta say screw it.
I distinctly remember like chemistry was giving me so many problems like first semester, and like I failed the first test like 70% of the class did. So I'm like, it's not that bad. It's college. Like C's get degrees.
Right.
And
which is a true fact.
And then I come into the second test, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna study like a week and a half. Like I'm not gonna mess up again. And then I got a worse score. I got like a 30% on a second test. I remember going back to my dorm that day, and I just like put my face in the bed and just like sat there for like probably like 30 minutes questioning my life, like, do I really want to do this? I remember, bro, I was tearing up. I called my dad. I'm like, bro, I don't know if I could do this engineering shit anymore. Like, I don't know if it's for me. But he was like, yeah, just like stick it out. Try to get through the class. And luckily, I pulled through from that class. But yeah, I don't know. So even I feel like when I chose mechanical engineering too, because there's different disciplines in engineering. Mechanical is definitely like the most general. So like we both said, I didn't know what I want to do out of high school. I'm like 70% sure about mechanical engineering. I'm like, all right, like let's just try it. But I chose mechanical too because it's kind of like the doctor of like engineers. Like they do a little bit of everything. So right. I'm like, that buys me like 4 more years to figure out like, okay, like maybe I like automotive or like aerospace or something specific, and then I could like choose a job after that. And then when senior year came around, I'm like, yeah, I still don't know what I want to do. Like it was bad. I don't know. I feel like you just don't ever get to that point of like really knowing. At least for me. I mean, I know that some people like feel like destined to do something, but
yeah. I don't have that feeling. we just out here trying different stuff.
Yeah.
I had no favorite subject in school. Actually, I lied. Wasn't math, English, science, none of that stuff. I like gym. Physical education. Team elective. That was my thing right there.
Yeah.
I did. Actually, Pete, y'all shouldn't take advice from me, to be honest. Like, I know I could have did better in school, but I did just enough. I did just enough to get decent grades, make my parents happy. But I wasn't trying super hard. I guess I could have. I probably should have, but I'm here. So
it's so tough though, because I feel like it's really not made for everybody. Like, it really takes a certain personality type to like do well in school. Because like, one, the majority of the stuff you're learning about, you don't care. So it's like,
that's true too.
When you're forced to learn and do something that you don't care about, you're not gonna have that energy into it. You're gonna be procrastinating and everything. So
I will say, in my experience now, if it's something like if I read something that's interesting, I'll be more inclined to actually want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something where I'm like, oh, this is boring or whatever, then I'm like, dang, I really don't want to do this. But when it catches my interest, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I can stick with this.
It feels different. Like,
yeah,
you have that like energy behind whatever you're talking about. Like you can like feel the difference with that too.
Right. Yeah, like in my criminal justice classes now, that stuff is interesting. So I'm like, wow, I might have made the right choice.
Yeah.
Like, it's not boring. I can actually read the stuff and do work and actually want to do it. It doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah. I mean, when you gotta go through all those classes and like take all those tests and write all those papers for years, you have to be somewhat interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work.
Right. Right.
I don't think you can make it through like that, in my opinion. But I don't know. So I guess from that time frame, from like picking majors and stuff like that, like, do you feel like there was anything like you would go back and do over, or like any advice you would have from like somebody who's like a junior or senior in high school, like trying to figure out what they want to do?
I don't think I would do anything over. But like I said, juniors and seniors in high school, or anybody, honestly, you should be like this guy over here.
No.
He tried to tell me. He tried to tell me back in the day. Do your research. Research helps. You look into, like, you have interest. So look into that. See what you might want to do. What you can do with what you're interested in. Like, I don't know. Don't go in blind like I did. I feel like I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I also feel like I went in blindly. You should definitely look that stuff up. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give. Look into it. Be sure about what you want to do. You can always change it, of course. Yeah. But base it off what you're interested in.
Yeah, I think that's my main takeaway too from that part. Like, you definitely like I made that decision. Like, oh, I'm gonna do engineering because it's gonna be like good stable income or whatever after school. But now that I've worked a little bit and I've gotten more experience, I'm realizing that that's not enough. It's not enough to have like monetary reasons to stay in a job. Like, you have to be interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to withstand that 40 hours or move into that city to like do whatever you want to do. So
I think that's big too. I'm glad you said that. I don't think so. Money isn't everything. Should like at a young age we were thinking like, yeah, we need to get jobs that's gonna make us a lot of money. But now we're at a point where it's not really about money. Of course, we want to be comfortable or whatever, but it's more so about waking up and being able to you want to get out of bed and go do that job. Yeah, I think that's a big takeaway as well. Yeah, a big piece of advice. Like, you want to do something that's gonna do something that you're gonna want to wake up and do continuously. Yeah, something that you're interested in, not something you don't want to get into something just because you make a lot of money. Like, you could go be a doctor or go be a lawyer. They make a lot of money, but is that really going to make you happy, or is it making you happy? So
I feel like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Like, that happiness only lasts so long. Like, I feel like too, it matters like your background and where you come from. Like, certain people value certain things over others. Like, I guess like we were a little bit fortunate enough to kind of like learn that lesson early, but like someone who's like less fortunate coming up, they may not realize that like money isn't everything. So then that's their goal for like the majority of like their early life. And then once they get to that point where they're financially stable and like they can provide for themselves and like all their needs are met, it's like, then they're like, now what? Like, right. Exactly. and then that's the scary part, because that's when you get into like that deep unhappiness and like you don't know what's next and like what else you want to do.
Right, like I got it all. Yeah, I have it all, but now like I'm not happy. So was it really worth it? Type thing.
I feel bad for some people too, because I know that like I think both of us were kind of lucky with that. Our parents didn't really like force us in like one direction, but I know so many people who like went to school and like, oh, I'm like doing pre-med and want to be a doctor because like both my parents are doctors and da da da. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just so tough because you wanna like make your parents proud and everything, but at the same time, if you're born to paint and like be a painter and like that's what you love doing on the weekends, like you're not gonna enjoy being a doctor. So right. It's like, exactly, you gotta kind of like stand up for yourself at that point. Like, I don't know, but I guess that's a good transition into first full-time jobs. The dreaded 40-hour work week.
Well, we were talking about this a little earlier. I'm working now, but I feel so. All right, I guess I could talk about both. I had a summer job. It was a full-time job. I worked at a doctor's office. That was interesting. But I guess we could talk about my job now.
That counts too, though. Like that first impression is definitely like good experience to talk about. So
okay. So what was this? Summer 2017. I think I just turned 21, or I turned 21 that summer. I think I had 3 jobs that summer. I don't know. There was something wrong with me. Yeah. I barely slept. But my first full-time job was at a ophthalmology office, and it was, I don't know, it was okay.
You were working, man.
It was not it. I take that back. It wasn't it. I don't know.
So what would you think after that first day? Like you get there at like 8, 9 a.m. and then you spend that 8 hours that day. Like what? How did you feel after that? Do you remember?
I probably like I just said. I probably got off work and was like, I think I got off work. I probably was like, nah. I was like, nah, I can't do this. I can't do this for the rest of my life,
bruh. There's no way.
But it was cool. It was a cool summer job because I was still. I was planning on going back. Mm-hmm. I left Frostburg State University. I was planning on going back after that summer. But yeah. I think I definitely got off work and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah. I definitely had a similar experience. Like when I started working full time, I'm like going to the office and it's like it's just like very like what is it, grim. Like it was just like kind of dark, like silent, like the building I was working into, the very first building I was working in full time had like no cell phone service. So it's like, there's no distractions. There's nothing going on. There's no windows. Like I felt like I was in a lunchbox.
That's like prison.
Yeah, it was kind of rough to be honest. And I met with my manager and everything, and he was a cool, funny guy. So he made me feel welcome and everything. I get settled in my desk. And then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, all right. And I was too young. I'm like sitting there trying to get the account set up and can't help or like learn anything from any of my teammates yet. And everybody like goes to try to introduce themselves like one by one. That like awkward phase of like being the new one on the team.
I think it's awkward too. Being new, but also being like the youngest youngest person. Cause like, I don't think I probably actually I think I was the youngest person at my first full-time job too. So it's just, I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah, I remember after 3 weeks, I called my parents. I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I was like, bruh, I don't know how y'all. Like, you guys have done this for like 30, 40 plus years. I'm like, no. I was 3 weeks in. I was like, I don't think I can do this. And my parents were like, hey, you got to get used to it. You got like 40 more years of this at least.
That ain't going to cut it.
So they were like, you gotta get used to it. I feel like you don't really know what to expect when you're first going in. And so you're just trying to learn different things. You're trying to like learn like email etiquette. You're trying to like introduce yourself to people on the team. Right. Like you're trying to be like proper and like have manners and not come off like a certain way or like have people dislike you at first, and then you get like thrown in with like all the acronyms and stuff, and you're sitting in meetings, don't understand what everybody's talking about. Like,
luckily, like at the doctor's office, we didn't have any acronyms or anything.
Yeah,
I worked at the front desk, which wasn't bad. Pretty simple job. So I was fortunate enough to not have to learn that much stuff.
What about your job now? Was it a lot different? Or?
Yeah. I guess you could say my job now is a real job.
It was lost in the sauce.
Yeah, especially at first. Meeting people left and right.
Don't remember nobody's name.
Right. Never remember anybody's names. Getting handed documents and getting emails, and they just talking about stuff that is so foreign. I'm like, yo, what does any of this stuff mean? But it's cool. Because eventually you start getting the hang of it. Start learning more.
Yeah.
Like I think that. So now I'm like, I have a role that I honestly never thought that I would have. I have like a lead role, and I feel like that's just so weird. People people email me like
it's not common, like especially at our age, like being
right
with the experience we have. So
I was kind of
you made that jump early.
Well, it was kind of by force. my supervisor was like, "Yeah, you're going to be the lead in this role now." And I was like, I looked at her. I was like, "What?"
You're voluntold.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean lead?" She was like, "Yeah, I want you to take the lead, facilitate some meetings. You'll be the point of contact." I was like, "No, I don't want to do that." But now, so that was, I think that was towards the end of last year. I've been working at my current job now for a couple years. So like towards the end of 2019 is when I got the lead role, or maybe the beginning of this year. And I think definitely you just grow. You're forced to grow.
Yeah.
In that kind of situation.
Yeah.
I was shy. I was like, I don't want to lead meetings, but now I've been, I've led meetings. I've been on trainings with a lot of people and, said my portion or whatever. And it's kind of just been like a breeze. Like you get used to it.
Yeah.
But I think you have, you kind of have to. Yeah.
Do you feel like at this point you kind of got the hang of things, or?
I would say so. Now, I don't know. It's pretty. My job is pretty easy, honestly.
From when you first started, like from your first day, like how long did it take you to feel like, okay, like I know what's happening in the meetings, like I know what people are talking about, I'm like contributing to the team, like.
It took me. I think I started in February of 2018. It probably took me to like the end of the year.
Yeah.
To be honest. So it was like longer than half a year, like 10 months. I was like, all right, I'm good now.
It's so crazy how slow it happens. Like I feel like I started like fall 2018 around like September, and it took me probably like 3 months just to understand like what was going on. Just to understand like all the acronyms, understand like what was going on in meetings, like the different projects going around. And it's like, it took me 3 solid months just to get that. And when you hear that as like a student or something, you're like, oh, it doesn't take that long. Like you take all these different classes and learn. It's like, no, it's gonna take a while.
Right.
I think my first manager was really good with that. He was like super patient with me. He was like, trust me, like you have time, like just you'll get it eventually. Just sit in these meetings. I know you don't understand what's going on, but just like soak everything in as a sponge and you'll get it eventually.
Yep.
I think that's one thing. I was really, really worried about making a good impression on my first job, because like it's the first job and you want to make sure you have that career progression. You don't want to like have those negative stereotypes on you. You want to come in and like provide value and like perform. And I was like really nervous about that. And like, did I learn what I needed to from school to like help me with this job? That was what I was most afraid of. Cause I'm like, when you're going through school, you're kind of just like going through the motions, like taking the tests or like writing the papers. And then you like forget about the material you were learning 2-3 weeks prior. So like up until that job, I was like nervous about that a lot. But
do you think your 4 years of college helped prepare you for your career, the real world?
I would largely say no. I don't think I've met anyone who's like definitively said like, yeah, I needed everything I learned from school to do what I do at my job. Like everything was necessary.
I feel like half the classes we take aren't useful.
They're not.
Like, what am I going to do? With history. Like that stuff is dumb.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, I don't think I've met anyone that said like, oh, like my school experience like really helped me. Like, granted, some majors and careers are different than others. Like, there's some stuff I learned in school that I definitely use like on the job, and I needed to know, especially with like engineering or like anything math and science related, like being a doctor or anything like that. Like you'll use some of the stuff you learn from school, but I would say like 90% of it I learned on the job. Like every company has their different processes. Exactly. Every company has their own values and goals and ideals and different softwares and stuff. Like you would never know that from school and like going in. So you just got to learn everything on the fly, basically. Right. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, we started, I feel like if we start a new job or get another job, it's going to be like a repeat. Yeah. Like repeating the process. You starting from the beginning. If you get a new job, yeah, I definitely agree.
Hopefully, it'll go by. The learning curve will be a little shorter since we know what we're kind of getting into this time. Like if we start a new job, like we know it's gonna take time to learn things. Yeah, just gotta like.
I think it was just like you said, going in, you don't really know what to expect. But now, being in the professional world for a couple years, you kind of get the hang of stuff, know what to expect. So, yeah, like you said, if we get new roles or whatever, then it might be a little easier. Yeah, to get accustomed, kind of know what to look for.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, so I think looking back, because I said after 3 weeks, I was like, this ain't it. Yeah. I will say it definitely takes like at least 6 to 9 months to like get a good perspective on your job. Like I feel like I was trying to judge it way too early. Like I definitely, after I learned what I was doing and like learned what was going on, I definitely enjoyed the job a little bit more. But I definitely was judging it too early. And there's a lot of factors to play, like, based on that first job, you may decide to leave that company or something, which may or may not be the right decision for you at that time. So it's like, looking back on it now, I really would try to not judge the job so fast. Just try to, have an open mind, open perspective, and just, like, try to soak everything in and just be a sponge to all the information that's coming to you, because I don't know, like, I didn't have a choice to like give it a chance because I was going to be in that role for a while. Right. And after a couple months, I started getting the hang of things and I enjoyed it a lot more. So, because I feel like, you could easily end up on like a bad team, like for your first job at like let's say it's like a big company and they have a lot of roles in like certain cities and stuff. You could think based off of that first job with that bad team or that bad manager or just like a crazy work statement or project that like this whole company or like this whole job field is not for me. But I feel like it's kind of like a trap. Like the same role is like different at different companies. I feel like even the same role within your company is different on different teams and based on like the projects you have. So I would try to, I don't know, I feel like for anybody that has like a bad experience, like moving around on teams or with their first job, just try to switch something up. Maybe it's your manager, maybe it's your team, maybe it's not the company at first. So I feel like there's, especially at the larger companies, there's like a lot of different opportunities you can get into. So just try to like move around there first before like trying to hop to another city or go to another company. But yeah, that's one thing I just remembered. But
everything he just said, I agree.
And yeah,
listen to him.
I am not the master of all though. Don't listen to me for everything. But along with first jobs comes like first apartments, first homes. That's the.
So, yeah, I moved out of my parents' home in October of 2018. My first apartment was a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Shout out Anthony. Anthony's probably going to tune in. Appreciate you.
Big supporter.
We appreciate you.
Shout out to Anthony.
You already. And yeah, it's funny how that happened. So Anthony and I were actually co-workers.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And so I was working at our job before him. He started working, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm looking at places. I'm about to move out of my parents' house." I wasn't like didn't have any plans of moving, but I was like, I know having a roommate could potentially cut costs. So I was like, "You want a roommate?" Because we had already, we were hanging out. We become like more than coworkers. We become pretty good friends. So I was like, "You want a roommate?" And he was like, "Sure." So that's how that happened. We did some apartment hunting. Found our apartment.
How was that though? Like, was finding an apartment easy for you, or
okay. I'm a very simple man, so I kind of let Anthony do all the work.
So yeah,
I just think I don't know. I think it was easy. I think my biggest thing in the apartment that I wanted was an in-unit washer and dryer.
Yeah. Yes. that is essential.
Everything else, I was just like, I don't need a fancy kitchen marble countertops. Yo, if I could, y'all probably would make fun of me, but I would have my mattress on the floor. Like, I know y'all be clowning people out there about having their mattress on the floor. I would do that.
I prefer that low key, but that's another story.
But that was probably the biggest thing. In-unit washer and dryer. And then from there, I mean, I think you gotta find something. You gotta find something that's like in your price range or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the toughest part for me. Like, so I ended up having to move from Baltimore to Seattle for my first job, and so that's mad stressful.
Yeah, like, I can only imagine.
Packing up your whole life and then shipping it cross country, and then finding a place in a completely new city where you don't know the neighborhoods, you don't know any friends or anybody there to like give you advice on it.
Right.
Actually, I had one friend. Shout out to Claudia. She definitely helped with the neighborhood searching. Cause Seattle's a weird city. Like, they have literally, you can walk like 2-3 blocks and be in a different neighborhood. So it's just, there's too many options. But it was so stressful, bro. Like, cause me and my family took a trip. Luckily they were so supportive. They went with me. Took a trip out to Seattle, like, I think like a month or two before I needed to move. Or like before my start date. And I'm like going to look for apartments, and it's like, I hear the grumblings. It's like, oh, Seattle's a little bit expensive. I'm like, all right, like, I'm going to be paying a little bit more, like maybe like $1,200, like $1,300. I get there, and I didn't want to do like a Craigslist roommate or like room with someone random, because I didn't know anybody in the city. So I'm like, I'm just going to live by myself. And I like having my own space too. So I was looking, we get there, I'm like, I got the list of apartments, we're like going to look, and each one we get there and it's like $1,500, $1,600, $1,800, $2,000, like, bro. I'm like, what? It was so disheartening when we got there, and these are like, Seattle is a really, they have a big influx of people coming in because of all the tech companies and Boeing and everything out there. So I think I heard like a crazy stat, like there's like 1,000 people that move there a week or something.
High demand.
So strictly because of the job market too. Cause
high demand for apartments.
Bruh, it was bad.
For the record, I told him I told him, because he was telling me, like, why are these places so expensive? I was like, you need to find the hood of Seattle, find the slums of Seattle and move there. He was like, nah, I just can't. I
am a little bit bougie.
He was like, I just can't
I kind of like the granite countertops in the kitchen.
Nah, I don't need that.
I like spending money on where I live. But yeah, so we get there and I'm like, nothing's in my price range, and I'm like going to see all these apartments, and then I get there and it's like, oh, this apartment's like 1,800 and it's like 400 square feet, and it's like this little like studio lunchbox. I'm like, bro, I can't do this. And then on top of that, the parking is a nightmare in Seattle too. So all the apartments charge like a $150, $200 plus for parking. So it's like whatever the rent was, add like $200-$300 on top of that, and like that's what you're paying. So yeah, none of the places, some of my favorite places, they didn't have the apartments when I went there. I ended up getting kind of lucky. I found like a relatively like cheaper apartment in like a good area. But it was so stressful, bro. That trip was bad because it was like, I'm only there for a weekend. I have to find an apartment before I leave here. And it's like a month before I move.
Right.
And that was the other thing too. Seattle, I guess it's weird. Like every state and city has like their local laws, but there, the tenants only need to give like 2 weeks notice to the landlord before they leave. Or like if they want to renew the lease or not. Whereas like Maryland, I know a lot of places here that are like, you have to give a month's notice basically.
Right. Yeah.
So I got there a month ahead of when I needed to move, and all the apartments were like, yeah, we don't know what's going to be available because we only have like 2 weeks notice. So like a week from now, there may be like 5 or 6 apartments that open up in your price range and all this stuff. And I'm just like, bruh.
Crazy.
But so yeah, so I don't know. Finding an apartment was hard for me. It doesn't sound like it was too bad for you, but yeah. So how did it feel? Like, were you sad or anything? Like moving out of your parents' crib? Like
no, not at all.
You didn't shed a little thug tear, like putting your stuff in the car and then saying bye to your mom and.
I was just, for me, it was kind of like, I was just like, wow. Wow, this is a big step. Obviously, I'm like, this is a big step in moving out of my parents' house. Mm. But at the same time, I'm like, I know I can go back. If I ever need to, I know I can go back. Yeah. So, and my dad, it's funny, my dad would always joke, like, when you leaving? then I'm like, I found a roommate, I'm about to move. They like, you don't got to move, right? Just messing with you.
They always switch up. They always switch up when the situation comes up. Right. It's like, I'm like, you wasn't saying that before.
Like, you don't got to go nowhere. But the thing was, my dad, that was more so, he was just saying that because he wants me to like save money and all that kind of stuff. He's like, you stay here and save money. Yeah, moving out was just a fun time. Having a roommate was cool. It definitely did cut costs. I think what were we laughing at earlier? I think I had clothes, so I moved in with clothes. So I'm over here, I'm in the kitchen about to cook. Had a can. I was like, dang, I had no can opener. Like this is the type of stuff you don't really think about, like living in your parents' house because you have everything.
No,
I had a can opener. I knew I had a can opener in my parents' house. I could easily go grab it, but then I'm out on my own. I'm like, I don't have no can opener, so I go to cook. I got a can. I'm like, all right, about to throw down, make one of my first meals in my new apartment, and I go to open the can, and I'm like, dang. Like, how am I going to get this open? So it took me a long time to open the can. I think I ended up I'm like stabbing it with a knife. I'm trying so hard to get this can open. I'm pretty sure the next day we went and got a can opener. I'm not ever doing that again. I could have lost a finger because I'm over
I
here
was
stabbing.
about to say you almost lost your hand or something.
I'm over here stabbing a can with a knife. It's just little things you don't think about.
Bruh, there were so many moments like that, like mid cooking, I'm like, got stuff on the stove and I'm like, shit, I don't have this seasoning or I don't have this pan. I need another pot to like cook the rest of this meal. There was so many, like, those first couple bills, bruh, like getting all your food and seasoning and like pots and pans. Oh my gosh, bro. It was bad.
Like $250.
It was bad.
Easy.
It was bad. Like I didn't know the area well, so I just went to the Shoppers that was like close to my place, and it was so expensive. I'm like trying to buy like pots and pans and food and stuff at Shoppers. It was like a no-go. I think the bill was like over $300 or something.
I think I went grocery shopping my first time at like the dollar store.
And that's
don't sleep on the dollar stores. They be having it. They be having that good stuff.
That's the worst thing too, because like all of those upfront costs as soon as you move out and you're still broke, like you still have not worked yet, like like you have no money, you're going to work, you're looking forward to that first check, but you just keep
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm like, I honestly did not know like the cost, like what went into moving out. Like we signed our lease or whatever. They were like, all right, you got that security deposit.
Nope.
I'm like, security deposit? First month's rent. Like the security deposit equals the first month's rent. Yeah. So you pay the security deposit, then you go and have to pay rent on top of that. So if you're thinking about moving out, make sure you got Save up. Make sure you got them bands on deck.
Save up at least for like a month or two ahead of time, because it's just bad.
Because them costs add up. I had no clue.
Yeah, that's the other thing, like furnishing too. Like, was your apartment furnished before you guys went in, or
no? It wasn't, but fortunately, we lucked up.
Oh yeah,
we got two couches. One of our coworkers was giving away. She was getting rid of stuff because she was about to furnish her house with new furniture. So she's like, "Oh, you guys are moving out? I got a couple couches," and we were like, "Yeah, we'll take them
for free."
Yep.
Wow.
We'll take them. We got two couches. We got a TV.
Wow.
So the only thing that I had to get was bedroom furniture. I got a new mattress, a bed frame, a dresser, a chest of drawers.
Bro, so much bread. It's so much.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you can take away from this is, like we said, if you plan on moving out, make sure you got them dollars ready.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, especially if my apartment was empty and I didn't have any donated furniture. So I was spending a whole bunch of money on furniture and everything else, and like every receipt just like hurt my heart. Like my apartment looked like a trap house, bro, when I first started. Like I had a little plastic like folding chair, a little plastic folding table. That was it.
That's all you need.
There was no couch. There was no furniture. I had like a 30-inch TV box on like one of those garage shelves that you get from like Walmart or Target for like $30. Like my stuff was looking rough.
That's all you need. Women, y'all make fun of us for being minimalists.
It was kind of cool though.
I'm not big on interior design, so I need one of y'all to.
We're sending inquiries for Jalen.
I need one of y'all to interior design my house when I get one. I don't care about my apartment. I have what I need. If it were up to me, you talking about a folding chair, folding table. That's all I need. Like I said, I'm gonna have my bed on the floor. If it were up to me, if I didn't get a couch for free, I would not have a couch. I lie to you not. I would not have a couch. Bro. I would just be sitting on. I don't know. I have a desk chair. That would be my chair.
Bro, I had no guests for like 6 months. Like I had no couch. I had that single chair in that single table for damn near like 3-4 months. And then I think around that time it was like Christmas time or something, so the holidays came in. I was like, all right, it's just time to get a sofa now. And I got like a TV stand and some other stuff. The apartment came together slowly but surely. It looked nice eventually, but yeah, for like a good 3-6 months, it was like almost completely empty. Like,
hey, that sounds great to me. Nothing wrong with that at all.
So, I guess with that experience, like, I don't know. I think mine was a little bit different because
I was going to ask you like, I had a roommate. My first apartment had a roommate. How was it? First time out the house, being on your own, solo. How was that?
To be honest, it was a lot. I think it was a lot more than like I realized at the time, and more than I wanted to admit. Like, because it's one thing like moving out on your own, and then adding on top of that, moving across the country, not knowing anyone there in the city that you're moving into, moving away from like friends and family and stuff, and like starting a new job and not knowing the area and stuff. It was a lot. And like that 3-hour time difference is huge too. Like I was on the West Coast, the majority of my friends are on the East Coast, so they were like, I'm getting back home around like 5 or 6 because like the traffic in Seattle is terrible, and it's almost like 9-10 o'clock. Like my parents about to go to bed. Like everybody's kind of like wrapping up their night. It's like, damn. So it was definitely a lot. I don't know. I do like my space, but I will say it did get lonely at times, like being alone, like after work or like on the weekends, like when I first initially got there and I didn't have like that friend group or anyone to like talk to. And I don't know, like you make friends at work. I feel like my team and the people I was surrounded with, I didn't really relate to a lot. So I had like good working relationships with them, but I didn't have that like close friendship with a lot of them. That didn't really come until later on. Like I'd probably say like a year and a half into the job. But yeah, I would say that's a lot. If I had to do it over again, I don't know. I like my space, bro. It's hard. It's hard. Like,
right.
I feel like if I knew someone, like if I knew someone going into that city and I spent time with them previously, I would have gotten a roommate. Like having at least one person there to like have social like interaction with another human being, like
Yeah.
it definitely helps. And then like going out and like meeting other people, that's how you get the mutual friends and everything else. So
Right.
I would say even if you like your own space like me, if you can room with somebody that you really know and like get along with, I would go for it. Definitely would have helped to like bring the rent price down too. I would have saved a little bit of money on that. I feel like after I got established, after I had my friend group and like knew what I was doing and like where stuff was in Seattle, I definitely appreciated living alone because like I had that space to myself. Like that's the one thing too. Like when you move out the crib, I don't know. My parents are a little bit strict, or they like things a certain way. So if I didn't abide by that, like I basically had to conform to certain things. So like once you move out, it's like so much more relaxed. Like everything is exactly how you like it, and
Right.
you only like the bathroom is set up for you, like the tub is set up for you. You can leave your bed however you want it. Like the living room is set up how you want it. So I would say that's like one of the good things too. Like I feel like, I don't know, I was similar to you. I feel like I was ready to move out the house after college. But me and my family are close, so like it was kind of tough leaving the house, but I was excited about like starting somewhere new and like getting my own place. So damn, I forgot where I was going with that.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, don't like if you're thinking about moving out, don't rush it. I think it's different. Everybody's in different situations. Like some people might feel like it's dire, like they gotta get out the house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I was in such a rush, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been home saving a lot of money. I don't regret moving out, but I will say I could have been at home chilling, saving money.
Mm-hmm.
So don't rush it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
I had got a new job. I got a new job in 2018. I bought my car. I moved out all in that 1 year. I was like, oh, I got money now. I got money. Let me go spend it. That's me. I got money. I got to spend it somehow.
I think, that was the one thing I was going to say. Like, if you, like, I have a very, like, loving family. Like, we're very close. But, you know, once you get to a certain age, like, you like having your own space and your own freedom. And it's kind of tough to do that when you're, like, still living at home. I will say, I feel like the relationship with my parents, like, got a lot better, like, after like moving out. Like, we got a lot closer to, and I feel like we were able to like see each other more as like, I definitely see them as still like the authority figure to me and like my role models, but I definitely feel like we were more peers at that point. Like we could joke about certain stuff or like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we're more like a friendly playing field. So I don't know. I feel like that's definitely one good thing too.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very close with my parents as well. I don't know. I see them a lot. I live like 15 minutes or less than 15 minutes away, so I still go visit. We hang out a lot. We still talk on the phone and everything. Yeah. But when I was there, I don't like I said, now that I'm looking back, it's kind of like, why was I in such a rush? I had freedom. I could pretty much do as I please just so long as I let them know. Like if I was going to go out and stay out overnight, my mom was just like, please just let me know. That's all you got to do. Right. Like you got your own car. So you can do whatever you want with your car, but you live in my house, so you need to let me know, like, if you're not coming home. Right. That's like the only difference. Now I can go out and I can come and go as I please without having to let anybody know. But that's really like the only difference because they let me do whatever I want to do. Especially at like once I hit 21, and 22 because I turned 22 and yeah. So once I hit 22, it was kind of like you're a grown man, so wash the dishes, do your little chores around the house and communicate. Yeah. So I don't know. That's really the only difference. But I don't know. I've been enjoying life on my own. So yeah, you know.
I think it's definitely a good learning experience too. Like I feel like I know myself a lot better from that. Like just going out and venturing out on your own. Like you figure out what you really like and you don't like, and you know what like good habits you picked up from your family, what bad habits you picked up, and like the different things that you want to get into. I feel like it was definitely a good experience too. I do kind of agree with you too. Like if you can stay at home and work, I would definitely do it, especially if you have a lot of student debt. Like you can save so much money. It's not funny. Like if you can tolerate your parents and you can stay at home and like you guys can like vibe out and it's okay, like I would definitely, and your job is local, I would definitely strongly consider staying home. At least for like a year or two. Like if you feel like after that year or two period, you know, you saved up a lot of money, you knocked down your student debt a lot, and like you're like, I want a new adventure, I want my own place and like start my own thing, then go ahead. But I definitely say there's no rush. Like you have the rest of your life to like live on your own and like do your own thing. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, that ends episode 2. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of our supporters so far. We love you guys. Thank you for all the comments and sharing and all the support. We really appreciate it. And check us out for episode 3. This is Cloth Talk Pod. We out. Thank you for tuning in. Follow us on all listening platforms and all social media at Cloth Talk Pod. You can follow me at memothemaestro on all social media, and you can follow Jalen at JCB627 on all social media.